welcome.
Look there.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. السلام علیکم و رحمت الله و برکاته. Excellency Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi, Excellency Ambassador Aizaz Ahmad Chowdhury, Ambassador Sadiq Khan, Excellency Ambassador Khalid Mahmood, distinguished colleagues, good morning to all of you. I'm delighted to be here in the oldest institute in Islamabad, playing an important role in shaping the opinion here in the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. A prestigious institute for strategic studies of Islamabad, and I look forward to discussions and interactions. Dialogue, knowledge-based foreign policy, and effective diplomacy are main areas of focus for this institute. If I may say so, these are very much needed in today's environment, in our region and beyond. And I'm here today for dialogue. This is my first visit after some years. Myself and my delegation, we are thankful to you, Foreign Minister, to the leadership in Pakistan, to the authorities, to the intellectual community, and to the brotherly nation for your warm welcome and hospitality. And thank you, Ambassador, for inviting us here. I bring to you the warm greetings, well wishes, aspirations of the people of Afghanistan. I'm confident that we are on the threshold of a new era in bilateral relations based on mutual respect and sincere cooperation for shared prosperity. The statements earlier by Ambassador Chowdhury, Foreign Minister Qureshi, and Ambassador Sadiq Khan, it shed light on the current situation. And I do consider the current opportunity, the start of the negotiations between the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan and the Taliban movement, an important opportunity. Ambassador Chowdhury, yourself mentioned peace in Afghanistan, peace in Pakistan, and peace in the region. Foreign Minister, yourself eloquently elaborated how much peace and prosperity in both countries are interdependent of one another. And I cannot emphasize on the importance of the opportunity which is today ahead of us. As the chairman of the Council, High Council for National Reconciliation, which my colleagues are here today with me, we are delighted to be part of contributing to shaping up further strengthening of bilateral relations in the interest of both countries, in the interest of our region, in the interest of peace. I am visiting Pakistan at a time when a new future, indeed a peaceful future, is on the horizon. As yourself referred to, on the September 12th, I participated in the inauguration of the negotiations between the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan and the Taliban movement on behalf of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. As we are speaking here, delegations of both sides in Doha, They are sitting around a table discussing the ways and means of ending decades of conflict through a political settlement in Afghanistan. Pakistan has played an important role in facilitating this moment. And my delegation and I thank you thank the government of Pakistan and the people of Pakistan for their efforts. And we are looking forward to our joint next practical steps. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a firm believer after many troubling years, we now need to go beyond the usual stale rhetoric and shadowy conspiracy theories that have held us back. We cannot afford to pursue business as usual. We need fresh approaches, and our people demand it from us. It's more urgent than ever to look to our region as one region. We need to look at the realities of the past 4 decades in our region, and also, as yourself rightly mentioned, take into account the current conditions and geopolitical and geoeconomic shifts. And also, we then need to draw necessary lessons about our gains and losses, threats and opportunities, especially where we could have been today if we had aimed for stronger cooperation, reduced tension, promoted moderation, increased regional connectivity, trade, transit, economic integration, business to business, and more importantly, people-to-people interactions. I will let distinguished scholars to tell us the cost of non-cooperation, the opportunities lost. But we have a saying in Farsi, Mahira har vaqt az aab bigiri taze ast. Whenever you can take the fish from the water, it is fresh. And we all realized that we have made advances in our bilateral relations, and also in different respects. But also we know that we are lagging behind in other areas in today's highly competitive and technologically interconnected world. We're facing a series of threats, common threats, most of the time, and challenges, including various shades of terrorism, extremism, intolerance, and more recently, COVID-19 pandemic that has not spared any country. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that there is a huge untapped security, political, economic potential for cooperation. In considering the current geopolitical context of the region, many new windows of opportunities have opened up. Therefore, more than ever, both countries need to pursue an enhanced level of interaction for a more peaceful and prosperous coexistence. The time is now for both nations to make further detour, define a new vision, address outstanding issues as well as our shared interests, realize that peace and stability in Afghanistan or any country in our South Central Asian geography, for that matter, can have far-reaching consequences, constructive consequences and ripple effects by setting course on a new path toward good neighborliness and greater regional economic integration. Today, as chair of the High Council for National Reconciliation, my job is to help build consensus and manage our collective efforts to promote reconciliation, to justly, inclusively, and honorably end the conflict and seek political settlement. But to do so, we need to constantly remind ourselves that Afghanistan today, all distinguished speakers earlier also referred to it eloquently. Afghanistan today is not the country of 90s or early 2001. It's young, diverse, connected nation, eager to freely decide its own future form of government, corresponding to its unity in diversity. This transformed nation also wants to preserve its core accomplishments, including the rights and liberties of all men and women of all communities and groups in Afghanistan. We do not want a terrorist footprint in our country or to allow any entity to pose a threat to any other nation. The current talks offer the best hope to put the war behind us using patience. And Prime Minister, I'm accused by my colleagues, and some of my colleagues have severed their path and stopped being my partner by accusing me to be very patient.
That's the requirement.
Using patience, dialogue, and compromise to agree to unite the country. We appreciate the tremendous efforts by all partners of Afghanistan, contributions and sacrifices made in the past 19 years in helping our people achieve their aspirations. But the biggest missing, the missing part is peace, dignified, durable, sustainable peace. A country with a vision of living at peace, unified, peace within and without, friendship within and without, not harboring any terrorist groups which may pose any threat to any country in our neighborhood, a sovereign country, independent country, democratic country, which people with diverse ideas, while maintaining their ideas and compete for and contest for implementation of their ideas, but only peacefully and without using violence. That's the future. Yes, the road ahead of us is not easy. Responsibility on my shoulders in my current position as the chairman of the High Council for National Reconciliation. I cannot and we cannot achieve our aspirations without the support from our own people and also without cooperation in a sincere manner in our region, and also the further strengthening of our bilateral relations. I'm sure that will further help us in achieving the aspiration of the people which have been faced with tremendous challenges in the past more than 4 decades. In my own case, 35 years of my life, plus 1.5 or less than 1.5 years which I was here as a refugee in Peshawar as a medical doctor, just graduated from the Faculty of Medicine, practiced a little bit, and then leaving Afghanistan, and then returned back and joining the resistance as a medical doctor. I've been in the middle of this. When I said in the inauguration of the negotiations between the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan and the Taliban movement, and Ambassador Sadiq Khan referred to it in his statement that there are no winners in war and there are no losers in peaceful, inclusive settlement. And we can all be, and I called on Taliban we were in the same room, and I mentioned the name of the leader of the Taliban negotiating team, Mullah Abdul Brother Akhund, that we can all be heroes for our country. And also, the cost of not seizing the moment, not capitalizing on the moment which is there, that now the international community is supportive, the region is supportive. And in that inauguration ceremony, that half-a-day ceremony, I listened to the distinguished ministers of foreign affairs from different countries, region and beyond, from the Secretary General of the United Nations, the Secretary General of the OIC, the Secretary General of NATO. Everybody was emphasizing on seizing the moment, asking the Afghans to seize the moment and asking the others to cooperate and showing readiness to cooperate in that regard. Indeed, it was a historic event, and these days history will be shaped. It was a good start. We have asked our own delegation, President Ghani and myself, to be patient, to be ready to make compromise, and not to miss any other opportunity, not to lose opportunity, not to waste time, because the conditions may evolve that might haunt us again, and we shouldn't let it happen. That's the instruction to our negotiating team, and that's how they conduct their business there, which is in the interest of all of us. Dear friends and colleagues, both Pakistan and Afghanistan need better prospects. We have paid a high price by facing various terror groups that are still acting as spoilers. We need to cooperate with like-minded countries against such elements. Foreign Minister Qureshi, you yourself referred to certain calendars and events which have taken place, and I will refer to Prime Minister Imran Khan telephone conversation with President Ghani last Friday. I met him on Saturday. He was happy in sending his regards to the nation as well as to the leaders in Pakistan. His call for pursuit of the talks in negotiations in good faith, and also reduction in violence, significant reduction in violence leading to comprehensive ceasefire. It's important because that's the environment that will help the spirit of negotiations back there in Doha. And not only I thank all of you for inviting me, for providing the opportunity, for your warm welcome and hospitality, and also for the content of discussions, which was mainly around peace, but also it covered areas of bilateral relations. I want to thank the National Assembly of Pakistan. I had extensive discussions last evening. You were there, and honorable ministers were there, and members of National Assembly were there. We had extensive discussions with honorable Chairman of the National Assembly, Honorable Asad Qaisar. When I saw the interest as a representative of the people and chairman of that assembly, National Assembly, Speaker of the Assembly, and his keenness and the topics that he and the National Assembly had focused on in the recent weeks, that shows another level of interest in pursuit of our common interest. The visa regulations, which is visa friendly, the pedestrian crossing points facilitation, in spite of the COVID, in spite of all the other challenges which are there, facilitation for trade. In all of this, we are grateful for the steps that you have taken. We also listen to yourself. We will going to listen to the leaders later on today and tomorrow. And also there are areas that we have to make joint efforts. There are areas that we need to focus in order to enhance bilateral relations on the basis of mutual respect in cooperation. I want to thank Pakistan also for hosting millions of our refugees. And we share the idea of dignified, voluntary return of refugees. And we are making efforts back home to further facilitate in this area. And in conclusion, I will reiterate that peace is not only an Islamic tenet in duty. It's also that unique historical opportunity that should not be squandered. Now that the ice has broken, we all have a role and responsibility to help it move forward, fruition, and prevent a relapse. May Allah Almighty guide us all in the right path. Thank you. Tashakkur. Shukriya. Manan. Thanks.
How do you see the role of China in Afghan peace process and in future of Afghanistan? If the peace process is successful, what will it mean for CPAC projects materializing in Afghanistan? I think you can start with this.
Thank you. I would say that since these questions were prepared before my remarks, some of this has been already addressed. We never want and wish Afghanistan to harbor any terrorist group under any name. A country, a nation which has suffered because of the activities of the terrorist groups for so long. So that's our firm view. And in regards to the second question as well, the more interaction that we have, the more understanding that we create, the more trust that we build between both countries, we can address their grievances and concerns of one another. When it comes to China as a neighboring country, China has played an important role. A peaceful neighbor which has helped us in reconstruction and humanitarian assistances. We know the important role that China has in the region and beyond. And Belt and Road could turn into an opportunity for Afghanistan as well. While we have encouraged connectivity schemes throughout the region and beyond, China will continue to play this important constructive role in support of peace and prosperity in Afghanistan. And the advantage of taking 2 to 3 questions at a time is that you can skip one.
Thank you, Dr. Saib. You were concise. One more question I'll leave from here, but rest I want to take from the floor. I think you have partly answered this question. This is from Temur Shamil. He works in PTP. And he says that as the peace talks have started between Taliban and Afghan government, what are the prospects of unifying the Afghan society, keeping in mind the diverse culture and ethnic landscape? What kind of future political setup do you envisage? So this is one, and you have spoken about it, but may I now open the floor to the audience, and Ambassador Ali Sarwar Naqvi, he was from the Foreign Service of Pakistan, but now heading a think tank in Islamabad.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Abdullah, it's a great pleasure and a privilege to hear you speak and to encounter you here in this institute. And I thank the institute for organizing this very important program. Distinguished lecturers of the institute. Dr. Abdullah, I have often talked about in my discussions about more people-to-people contact between Pakistan and Afghanistan. And in this context, more specifically, contacts between universities, think tanks, media, electronic media. Like, we don't have any bureau of any Afghan newspaper or any Afghan TV channel in Pakistan, in Islamabad or anywhere else. Similarly, from Pakistan, we don't have bureaus of Pakistani newspapers or TV channels in Kabul. Unless we do this kind of work and put some effort in it, we only deal at governmental level. And that is not enough. We are neighbors, we are brothers, and we have to have better understanding of this. Thank you. Your comments?
Yeah, thank you. If you can make your questions short, we will have more opportunities. Ms. Naseem Zahra, are you there? Please. So she's a journalist and a TV anchor.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Dr. Sahab and Dr. Abdullah. Very warm welcome to Pakistan, and certainly for those of us who for 30 years watched this conflict closely, this is really a time of hope, great hope, and your words were very encouraging. Your role has been tremendous. A couple of quick questions. Number one, the reports that came from Doha, a lot of the people covering Doha talks have been writing, people like Rئیس, etc., that more progress than expected is taking place in Doha. Would you share that assessment? And the second thing is, it was wonderful to hear you say that in terms of bilateral context, the ice has broken, and in terms of Pakistan and Afghanistan, there have been years of distrust. Would you say that we've really turned the corner, and this is a relationship which will inshallah move forward at the levels that you've been discussing yourself? Thank you.
Thank you. Rana Adar, he is also heading another think tank, Pakistan House. Rana? Short questions, please, everybody.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdullah. I will just take your own lighter note that you've been singled out as very big, very patient among your partners. So please, first of all, continue to do that. You're very patient, and we are very happy that we have a partner on the side who is taking it in a relaxed mode. My question is about economic dividend of peace. Because this is the most important element which will help bring people together, both Afghan and Pakistanis. You can comment on that.
Thank you. Senator Kaka is the senator of Pakistan from Balochistan. Sir, Senator.
Most welcome, Dr. Abdullah, to the panel of Pakistan. I hail from Balochistan. I'm a proud Pakistani Pashtun. And there are two aspects in which I would be personally interested to know your views. As a Pakistani, our founding father has clearly given us a guiding principle on Afghanistan that Asya yak paikare aao kedas. Penate Afghan tamam kedas. So this is the guiding principle for us, that we do take Afghan nation and Afghan land as a heart of Asia. All the blood circulation, be it in trade, economy, culture, ideas, has to circulate through that to bring either a peaceful Asia or a disorderly Asia. We realize it's important, it's guiding us. I'm more interested in the ambience and environment amongst the intra-Afghan groups. No matter, even if the whole universe conspires, no one can impose peace on Afghans until Afghans want it themselves. There would be million reasons to talk, sometime one and sometime none. And when there is none, what would be the passion which would still drive Afghans to talk to each other? And if you allow me, I'll just conclude it, because I'm just trying to speak out my heart here. I know I'm taking a bit of time.
Please.
But it is very, very important for us to know that even if the GS, NATO, OIC, Foreign Minister of Pakistan, the whole region is disinterested in this talk, what would be the passion which would still drive Afghans to talk to each other? Thank you. Thank you so much.
The lady there? Yeah.
Ambassador. My name is Sitara Noor, and I'm a senior research associate at Center for Aerospace and Security Research. Thank you, Dr. Abdullah, for your very candid talk, and we completely share the same sentiments. You and the Foreign Minister Videshi talked about patience, and I think patience is the key, as you both rightly pointed out. Rather strategic patience is required, and Pakistan and Afghanistan both have demonstrated that very well. But one of the primary parties in the overall discussion process is the United States, who have already set certain deadlines, and probably that patience is somewhat lessened on their part. How do you see you can have that same level of commitment long term or short term, or do you think a shorter deadline would rather be helpful in reaching a close, quick conclusion to the talks, or would that be long term?
I think one last question from Mateen Heather. He's a journalist.
Thank you, Abdullah. Said we do not harbor any terror group in Afghanistan. We have seen over the last few months increase of terror attacks on Pakistani civilian area and Pakistani military force from inside of Pakistan. So this means there are still terror groups operating on Afghan territory. So how would you ensure that Afghan territory is not used for terrorism against Pakistan? And second, do you think that in Kabul is changed now about Pakistan's sincerity and Pakistan's sincere role towards Afghanistan's peace process? So previously Pakistan's sincere role used to be doubted in Kabul. Do you think now the feeling in Kabul corridor is changed? Thank you, Mr. Abdullah.
Thank you. Somehow the list keeps adding, but Abdullah Maan from Al Jazeera, and then there is a time for him to. So, where is Abdullah Maan? Yeah, please.
Yeah. Twice when you were talking about describing the negotiations which is taking place in Doha, you gave an impression as if Taliban, that it is peace process between the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan and Taliban movement, as if it is a foreign type of a movement. Would you like to comment on that?
I think you have next engagement, so if you can take up all these questions and we'll go down for tea, maybe we can mingle there.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mahmoud. I agree with yourself that more people's-to-people's relations at different levels will be civil society, media, intellectuals, think tanks, and in fact, earlier we discussed it with Ambassador Chaudhry just in a few minutes that we had in his office, that how the think tanks from both sides, this institute could get in touch with those think tanks, which are already new in Afghanistan, but very active, very vibrant. Media-to-media cooperation or the presence of channels. I think there is no obstacles for this. It's important for us to tap into those areas and then push it. And personally, I am supportive of that idea, and I agree that it can make a tremendous change in creating better environment. When it comes to the talks, whether there's serious progress there, the fact that it's happening in the background of at least more than 2 decades, 2.5 decades of war fighting with the Taliban, it's happening today. That in itself is historic. Personally, I would have preferred much more speed, based on the urgency that the people of Afghanistan look at it. And when the people hear and they are supportive that the negotiations have started, they want to see the impact of that in their lives. And we have to maintain that popular support for the in positive momentum behind the negotiations. So in that respect, I would say that we as the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, Taliban as a movement, we both need to pay attention to the importance of the opportunity which is there. When it comes to bilateral relations, I have no doubt in my mind. We discussed a lot of practical issues, and some concerns were raised also from our Pakistani colleagues, which we need to address them. It's only in our interest, in our common interest, and that's the path forward, and that has to be the path forward. And the main thing is the understanding one another's issues, addressing them timely, making best efforts to address them, and then stay determined not to give up. And in any occasions there will be ups and downs, but we hope that we will not have downs anymore, and we continue with the path. From my interactions up till now, and I will have more. My visit is our colleagues here. They have arranged a very extensive and comprehensive sets of meetings and get-togethers for us, which is important, and which I consider it as an opportunity. In each one of them, so far I've seen those intentions, and I'm sure that this will be the path forward towards the future. Economic dividends for Afghanistan, for the region, South Asia and Central Asia, it's enormous. It's not an exaggeration. We had a period of like seven days. We called it reduction in violence, but it was like a ceasefire. When we were looking at the movements of the people, the energy of the people, seizing that opportunity for betterment of their own lives and contributing to the others, to the economy of the country, it was promising, it was inspiring. In the opportunities within the country, Afghanistan being a natural, a rich country on the basis of its natural resources, the connectivity that it provides in this, including with the modern technology today, the needs of energy in one part and the needs for goods in another part of our region. I'm talking about Central Asia. All of these are the prospects for all of our countries to benefit from it. Yes, Afghanistan, that's Iqbal, which is greatly respected amongst our people. We consider it as one of us. آسیا یک پیکر آب و گل است، ملت افغان در آن پیکر دل است. That's we need to pay attention to our heart, and that's where I'm here to communicate that message in my own position as chairman of the council on behalf of the people of Afghanistan, and also I see warm reciprocation amongst the people, amongst the communities and the society as a whole, which I'm grateful. Yes, patience is needed. If you, like in current environment, when I earlier mentioned and welcomed the statement by His Excellency Prime Minister Imran Khan calling for reduction in violence leading to ceasefire, sometimes on daily basis, the number of casualties on both sides is over 200 people. 150 became average. So that's the reality. And also that takes me to the next question, that what drives us to continue our efforts. Yes, today there is a better environment, there is a situation where the international community is also calling for peace. The region is more cooperative in that regard. but it's first and foremost in our view. If there is any belief in any side that the war could be ended through fighting forever, that will be a big missed opportunity and a big miscalculation. And we hope as Afghans, as people, that we have to live together and make peace while having differences amongst ourselves, and address those differences peacefully, and contest for our ideas peacefully. That realization has to be in all sides. In the people of Afghanistan, the majority of the people of Afghanistan are supportive of this. On the issues of terrorism, there is a firm commitment and firm realization that the understanding also amongst our people that these terrorist groups, under any names, I do not want to go to the history of background of these groups and what was happening, how much we suffered, and Al-Qaeda, ISIS, other terrorist groups from the region and beyond, none of them, no terrorist groups under any name in Bangladesh should not be allowed to use Afghanistan soil against any country. That's the point. That's the point. Whether things will be seen back home in Afghanistan, whether there is still suspicions, there are still doubts, there are still could be, because what we all have gone through has created those sorts of circumstances. But we all also have a mission and responsibility to address, as I mentioned, our concerns, our wishes in a candid and friendly environment. And that is what I have witnessed during my visit this time around in Pakistan, and we will encourage it back home as well, because that's the only way forward. Some of the issues needs to be dealt with between different institutions, different departments. Some of the issues we can go public about this. Some of the things, concerns and grievances, we can talk about it in a different manner. But we need to address issues from both sides.
One more.
Until His Excellency Dr. Abdullah.